Well, one really nice thing about us transitioning to YouTube for our video format is that I have a built-in governor now for keeping my videos to 10 minutes or less. Because if I go over the 10-minute mark, they're going to yank the video off my YouTube channel, which doesn't do any of us any good. So 10 minutes or less on Matt's Monday downloads, guaranteed. So let's jump right in. I hope everybody had a great weekend. My sister got married this weekend, so we were crazy busy all weekend. We had a lot of fun, and actually none more fun than my son. He was just insane, out on the dance floor for 4 hours straight after the wedding, and he was just tearing it up, truly cutting a rug. So I'll get a YouTube video out for you on that because I think everybody will enjoy it. Somebody literally gave him $20 at the end of the night for, I guess, dancing so hard. I don't know. But so it's quite entertaining. You'll enjoy it a lot. So today we're going to talk about stuff circulating around the closing table in a short sale. And the reason is because a lot of our agents are getting to the point where they're either very near or they're in the middle of their first short sale approval with us and moving toward closing. So I want to educate everybody on kind of some general stuff that'll help you negotiate this piece of the transaction. So let's talk about time frames. This is more of an interpretation. If our team puts in the notes or you talk to them on the phone and they're like, yeah, we're getting really close to approval on this one, I want to interpret the words really close. Really close could mean 2 to 3 weeks. Really close doesn't mean any day now. It could be any day now, but it is in the spirit of positioning you correctly so you can position the other parties to the transaction correctly. That any day or really close could be 2 to 3 weeks because it has to go through this channel and management has to sign off on it. And it's just, short sales are just an all-around long process. So any day and getting close mean 2 to 3 weeks. When the approval happens, a verbal approval, we usually get a verbal or an email from the bank before we actually get the black and white approval letter. So when we get that and you see notes that say verbal approval has been received, expecting the letter in 24 to 48 hours, please note that that's our expectation, but sometimes banks can take up to a week to get that to us as well. They have to have a manager sign off on it and look at everything, make sure that T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So again, position everyone that the verbal approval has happened, but until we see the black and white approval letter, we don't know if they've made any changes that could make the transaction not work. And it could be a week before we see that. So everybody just hold on. Be encouraged. We're getting there. It should be any day now. Not 2 to 3 weeks any day now, but within the next week we should see something. When the approval comes, sometimes we are seeing approvals, and it seems to be a lot lately, approvals coming in with less than 30 days to close. Now that's not our expectation, but it's happening. So there's 2 ways to deal with that less than 30 days. The first is when the less than 30 days is so far less than 30 days that it truly is not practical to close. When you get an approval letter and they give you 5 business days to close the transaction, unless you have a cash buyer or you've really been working that loan agent and all you need is an appraisal and a final underwrite, even then 5 business days really is just probably not going to happen. So in that situation, we're going to want a letter from the borrower's lender. Now, taking us back to our conference call last week, a commitment letter would be way stronger than just a general letter. If it's a commitment letter stating that they need 30 days, and this is a reminder, they're not going to get more than 30, so don't be asking for 60. A commitment letter that says they need more than 30 days to finalize these items, where there's actually the word commitment on there, that's going to be super strong for us to send to the bank, and they're going to be a lot less grumpy about changing that date. Now they know that most people aren't going to be able to close in 5 business days, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to push people because they don't want to keep extending things out a long way and then be left holding a bag when somebody can't close. So having a commitment letter is going to be huge for us in that negotiation. The other thing that we're going to need if we're extending that out is an addendum. Some verbiage on the addendum that you're going to want to have is the closing date shall be extended to whatever day 30 days from now is, not to be any fewer than 30 days from lender approval. And the important piece of that is that just because you extend it out to August 30th, if you don't get the updated approval letter from the bank until the 15th, they're going to put August 30th on there, and we're in the same spot we were before, where we only have 2 weeks to close. So put that verbiage in there. We can make sure the bank sees that and says, hey, they're expecting to close on the 30th of August, but they're not going to, it needs to be a minimum of 30 days from the time we receive the approval letter from you. So add that in. The other situation is where someone actually can. So it's less than 30 days, but maybe it's 3 weeks, or it's a cash buyer, and the process is such that your lender is confident that they're going to be able to make this thing happen. All we need there is an addendum for the closing date, so that your addendum is stating exactly what the payoff approval letter, the short sale approval letter, is also stating for the closing date. So make sure those two things match, send it into our office, and you're off to the races. Just make it happen. Pull the things together that you need to do for a standard closing. We'll coordinate everything with the closing agent to make sure that they have what they need to clear title and get the transaction closed. All right, another thing around closings that we're running into a lot is aggressive second mortgage liens. These second mortgages have been losing hundreds of millions of dollars over the last few years with these short sales and the drop in value of the properties. And the second mortgages have had the hardest hit of anyone. And they're becoming very aggressive in their pursuit of the deficiency and the loss that they're taking. One of the things that we're finding is that second mortgages are starting to dig their heels in with what they're requiring on a payoff. So for example, Fannie Mae has guidelines that say only $3,000 can get paid to a junior lien. Some mortgages, Bank of America being one of the most notorious, they're saying, well, we won't take any less than 13 or 20, whatever that number is. So what we have done is we have developed a way or a method that we can implement in these situations where we basically have approval on the short sale, but what the first is allowing and what the second is requiring don't match up. Here's how we've been able to do it. And this is going to be high level. So when you're in this situation, our office will walk you through it. But the basic is this, is that, and it only works for people that are cash buyers or have a significant down payment. If you got an FHA buyer that's only got 3% down, this isn't going to work. Another reason why I encourage you to find solid buyers that have a reasonable down payment. If they have a reasonable down payment or they're cash, what we do is we reduce the purchase price on the property. And we take the difference, so let's say 13 is what the second wants, but 3 is what the first will require. So we reduce it by 10, the purchase price. That extra $10,000 is then paid before the closing on behalf of the seller toward that second mortgage loan. Now we've already got a black and white approval letter for $13,000. We make a payment of $10,000 to that loan. The second mortgage then sends us an updated letter for $3,000, which we can then pay at closing and be within the guidelines of the first mortgage. So that way everybody's happy, we can clear title, and we can get the transaction closed. And this has been the difference between a declined short sale and an approved short sale several times over the last month. So it's seemingly happening more frequently. It could just be the time of the year, but it probably is just the fact that these mortgages have been taking some serious hits. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about are under, again, the umbrella of aggressive second mortgage liens is collections and notes. So where short sale approval letters are coming back with rights of collection or some sort of promissory note. The thing that I want you to remember is anytime we receive something that has a right of collection or a promissory note, we immediately go back to the bank and ask them to change that. Now, we're not going to call their bluff and say that this transaction is dead unless they change it, unless your seller actually says that. So as soon as you get that letter and it says that there's right of collection or a note, you need to immediately go to your seller and have a conversation with them. That's your responsibility as the agent, is to have the conversation, say, here's what your letter is saying, here are the potential repercussions. Now I know you're not going to be giving them legal advice, but you still need to understand the basics of your state law so you can explain it to them. Does your state have deficiency rights? Can they go after them after foreclosure, or can they not? That is huge in their decision making. If they decide we absolutely will not move forward without the right of collection or the note being gone, then we need something in writing from them stating that. And the reason we need it in writing is so that you and us, so that we all can be protected, because what we don't want to have happen is for us to go in there and say, this deal's dead unless you can get rid of these stipulations. The bank calls our bluff, closes out the file, the house goes into foreclosure, and then down the road we have a really irritated, pissed off seller who says, hey, you had a short sale approval on this, and you told the bank I wouldn't take it, and they closed it out, and that's not true. So even if it were true, we need something in writing so we can prove it. So getting just a simple letter that says, to whom it may concern, we're not going to do this if you don't remove this right of collection, and then we can use that to work it out with the bank and determine where it could go. So that's what we're talking about today for approvals and closings. Stay tuned next week. Oh, real quick, on our YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel. It gives us the ability to do some cool stuff with the channel. So the more subscribers that we have, and plus I think you can get updates when we post new stuff, which makes it simple for you. So anyway, click the little subscribe at the top of the window, and thanks so much. Have an excellent week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.